There's a slow fade happening to men everywhere. It's not sudden, not dramatic, but it's real. Day by day, men lose themselves, not to some catastrophic event, but to the relentless erosion of identity that comes with responsibility, expectations, and survival in a world that rarely asks how they're doing. You know that feeling when you catch yourself in a mirror and think, when did I become this person? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. At some point, you stop being you and become your job title. You go to a party and the first thing people ask is, what do you do? And you answer with your profession like it's your entire personality. You're no longer the guy who once dreamed of writing a novel or restoring a classic car. Now you're Greg from IT, Mark the financial planner, or Jason the project manager. This slow shift happens without you even noticing. One day you're fresh out of university with big plans and energy that could power a small city. The next year, standing in your office's fluorescent bathroom, staring at a tired reflection, and realizing your biggest thrill of the week was perfecting an Excel formula. Not because you love Excel, let's be honest, nobody loves Excel, but because being good at your job became the easiest way to measure your worth. It's not just work, though. That'd be too simple. It's everything. You start filtering yourself to make life easier, smoother, more acceptable to everyone around you. Remember when you used to blast Tupac or Biggie in your car? Now you listen to whatever's least offensive for the morning carpool. God forbid little Emma hears a curse word. Your wardrobe? It's all business casual now, even on weekends, because heaven forbid you run into a colleague at the grocery store looking like a guy who actually enjoys his life. Even your free time gets the corporate treatment. You can't just enjoy photography anymore. You need to turn it into a side hustle. Playing basketball? It has to be part of the company league for networking. You've turned your hobbies into LinkedIn skills without realizing it. I was talking to my buddy Dave last week. He used to be this wild, creative type in college, always sketching in margins, dreaming up crazy art projects. Now he works in insurance, and his idea of creativity is choosing which PowerPoint template to use. When I asked him about his art, he laughed it off. That's kid stuff, man. I've got responsibilities now. Responsibilities, the great silencer of dreams. But here's the thing that really gets me. We act like this is just what happens when you grow up, like losing yourself is the price of admission to adulthood. But is it really? Somewhere along the way, we decided that being safe was more important than being alive. Not physically safe, that makes sense, but emotionally safe, creatively safe, socially safe. You stop voicing opinions that might rock the boat. You nod along with conversations you disagree with because arguing isn't worth the hassle. You choose the restaurant everyone will like instead of that hole-in-the-wall place you're dying to try. Your personality gets rounded off at the edges until you're this smooth, inoffensive version of who you used to be. And honestly, it works. Life becomes easier when you're predictable. People know what to expect from reliable Bob or steady Steve. You get invited to things because you won't cause drama. You keep your job because you don't make waves. Your relationships stay stable because you don't challenge anyone. But easy isn't the same as fulfilling. And predictable isn't the same as authentic. The crazy part is how gradual it all happens. It's like gaining weight. You don't notice it day by day, but then you see a photo from 5 years ago and think, who is that guy? Except instead of physical weight, it's the weight of conformity, of playing it safe, of choosing comfort over growth. My friend Tom told me something that stuck with me. He said, I used to have opinions about everything. Now I have opinions about nothing because having opinions is exhausting. That hit me harder than it should have. We've become masters at justifying this fade. I'm being mature now. This is what adults do. I'm providing for my family. All true statements, but also convenient excuses for giving up pieces of ourselves. I'm not saying you should quit your job tomorrow and become a street artist. That's not realistic for most of us. But there's a difference between growing up and giving up. There's a difference between accepting responsibility and accepting defeat. Your 22-year-old self had some pretty unrealistic ideas about life, sure, but he also had fire, passion, a willingness to fail spectacularly in pursuit of something meaningful. Where did that guy go? He's still in there somewhere, buried under layers of should and can't and what will people think. He shows up sometimes, usually after a few beers when you start talking about that business idea you've been carrying around for years. Then Monday morning hits and he goes back into hiding. Here's what kills me about this whole thing. We're waiting for permission to be ourselves again. Permission from our boss to take risks. Permission from our partner to pursue that crazy idea. Permission from society to step outside the lines we've drawn for ourselves. But nobody's going to give you that permission. Nobody's coming to rescue you from your own life choices. My neighbor Rick is 45 and just started taking guitar lessons, not because he wants to be in a band or make money from it, but because he's always wanted to play guitar. When I asked him what took so long, he said, "I kept thinking I was too old to start something new. Then I realized I'm going to be 50 either way. Might as well be 50 and able to play guitar." That's the thing right there. Time's going to pass regardless. You can spend it becoming more yourself or less yourself. Those are really your only options. The good news is, you don't need a complete life overhaul to start fighting this fade. Sometimes it's the small stuff that matters most. Start saying no to things you don't want to do. Stop pretending to like TV shows everyone else watches. Wear that shirt you love but think is too much. Play your music in the car. Share an opinion that you might surprise people. These aren't earth-shattering moves, but they're practice runs for bigger acts of authenticity. Think of them as stretches before the real workout. My friend Carlos started doing something brilliant. Every month, he does one thing his 20-year-old self would be proud of. Last month, he went to a concert alone. This month, he's taking an improv class. Nothing huge, but he's slowly reconnecting with the guy he used to be while still being the man he's become. You know what's funny? People actually respond better to the real you than the filtered version. My old college buddy called me out on this recently. He said, "You used to have fire, man. You cared about things. Now you just seem to care about not making waves." That stung because it was true. Let me paint you a picture. You're 65, retired, sitting on your porch with a decent nest egg and a paid-off mortgage. You did everything right, played by all the rules, made all the sensible choices. But when you think back on your life, what stories do you have? What risks did you take? What dreams did you chase? If your biggest regret is not taking that accounting class sooner, then maybe SAFE was the right choice for you. But if you find yourself what-ifing what if about a dozen different paths you didn't take, then maybe SAFE wasn't so safe after all. Maybe the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. The truth is, we're all going to die with regrets. The question is what kind of regrets you want to have. Do you want to regret the chances you took or the chances you didn't take? This isn't about becoming irresponsible or blowing up your life. It's about finding space for the real you within the life you've built. Most of us have more room to maneuver than we think. Start small. What's one thing you loved doing that you've stopped? What's one opinion you hold that you never share? What's one dream you've labeled as unrealistic that might just be challenging? The guy who dreamed of writing that novel, he can still write, even if it's just 15 minutes before bed. The guy who wanted to restore cars, maybe he starts with model cars or joins a classic car club. The guy who had strong opinions about everything, maybe he starts sharing them again, carefully but authentically. Look, I get it. You've got a mortgage, kids in college, aging parents who need help. Real life is real. But real life also includes the part where you matter, where your dreams matter, where the person you used to be deserves some consideration too. Every morning you wake up and choose who to be that day. You can choose the safe, filtered, socially acceptable version of yourself, or you can choose to let a little more of the real you show through. The fade isn't inevitable. It feels like it is because it happens so gradually, but it's actually made up of thousands of tiny choices. And if tiny choices created the problem, tiny choices can solve it too. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. Don't let them down by playing it too safe. Don't let the fade win. The world has enough generic, filtered versions of men. It needs more of the real you. Messy, opinionated, passionate, and authentically human. Here's my challenge for you. Pick one small thing this week, one tiny rebellion against the fade. Maybe it's playing that song you love but never play anymore. Maybe it's sharing an opinion you usually keep to yourself. Maybe it's just admitting out loud that you miss who you used to be. Small steps, but steps in the right direction. Because the alternative is waking up at 65 wondering where the hell you went. And honestly, that's scarier than any risk you could take today.